How are you all feeling? It's Friday. Isn't it an amazing, beautiful day today? And I am so lucky and I feel very, very privileged to have my guest today. My guest is Debra Moffit. Hello, Debra. How are you?
Hi, from the French Alps.
All the way from the French Alps. Yes, you've joining us just like if we are next door to each other having a coffee, right? Just
it's so wonderful. Yeah, the gifts of technology. We're really lucky.
It's just incredible. So let me just tell you a little bit about Debra, right? Because, I need, before Debra goes and, tell her a little bit of her story, Debra is the catalyst. Yes, it's all her fault. I started putting Feng Shui into the business. That's it. I've said it all. That's it. I'm blaming you for all of it, Debra. So, we met each other in one of the Zoom rooms on the masterclass, on the mastermind, and I didn't even have my yellow jacket that day. And Debra pointed up at me and she said, Claire, you, Claire, I need to speak to you. I need to tell you something. And I just went, oh, what have I done now? And that was the moment where I was told and poked on the head for several times to say that perhaps I wasn't on the right path. And if I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, what my purpose is, perhaps things would go further and better. So do you listen to your intuition? Do you listen to that little voice, that gut feeling, all those words that we actually use to call intuition? So Debra, you are an intuition expert, aren't you, really?
Well, yeah, it has really turned into that. And, it has developed over the years. I was quite intuitive and then became very linear when I went into the business world, even though I still had some of that intuitive aspect. But, the business world, at least the traditional corporate world, had a tendency to kind of squish those kinds of things, right? And so I have been able to reconnect with that, and it's amplified. And it actually started several years ago when I met several intuitives and good ones, because there are people who kind of fake it or kind of are on the edges, and then there are people who really, really get it, and or who have got it. And I believe everybody's intuitive, but some people, when they're working with clients, are really, really gifted at helping you to tune into what's already there so you can amplify it and continue in that path and work on it in a more in-depth way. So I think several years ago, I met several intuitives who were so shockingly good that my linear mind kind of went into a spin, like, how can they do that? And I remember saying to the universe, because both of them had said to me, you can do this, you're one of us. And I was like, what are they talking about? And I told the universe, they were so beneficial to me that I told the universe, if I can do that and be of service to other people in that way, then I'm happy to do that and just, bring it on. So that's what's happened. Because when you mentioned the keying in.
No, so sorry. What I was just going to say, because you were in a very high-end position, corporate organization, flying here, there, and everywhere. And so what a drastic change of life, really. And, you moved as well. You've just gone into the Alps and in the middle of nowhere, and really can completely change your life, transformed your life from one to the other. It's quite amazing. We've had that conversation before where you've said, the old me and the new me. That's a big shift that you've had between your life, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And so I think actually several people have been talking with me about this for their professional careers at the moment, right? So how do you make the transition? What's going on here, right? And a lot of people tend to think it's either or, it's black or white. You have to be in intuition world, or you have to be in a traditional business world. Did I just lose you, Claire? And for me, it's not either or, it's both. And that's super, super important as a way to move forward. And, you had mentioned earlier, Claire, about when we were in that session where we were live and we were talking, and I was in a group, and I immediately keyed into you as somebody who there was information for you, and that's how things work. So it's really like so two things. First of all, I think I keyed into you because you were going through a transition, and there was information there to help you, support you in moving forward in the pathway that you were really yearning to do, right? It's almost like I pick up information that's already there around you, and wants to be expressed. But it's stuff you already knew, stuff you already know, right? But it's just like, it's like the neon sign comes on and says, here it is. and, yeah, and that's what a good intuitive does. It's not telling you what to do. It's not predicting the future. It's picking up the potentials that are in the field, really, and that's what I do. Yeah, and so in this, so you wanted to focus on the transition, and I feel like it's easier for people to make the transitions now than whenever I left the corporate world, because there was not so much opening towards intuitive aspects, and now more and more people are looking to tap into their intuition. We really need to work with intuition because it's so vital right now moving forward. There's so many changes, and the way we used to do things doesn't work anymore. And I think almost everybody recognizes that. So we're really in a position where we need to innovate and move forward with ease and grace. And the only way I know how to do that, and the best way I know how to do that, is by everybody tapping into their intuition. So, it's super, super important. So my aim is to empower people, but also, so I teach people in the intuition circle, where you learn. I mean, you've been getting huge amounts of information, Claire, waking up in the middle of the night with information coming into you. So, and that's what happens. It's like turning on a faucet, and it's like woohoo, here we go.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was. I think when we spoke back in February, and it was a real kind of somebody really poking me in the head, and actually, like you said, were telling me what I thought I was telling myself, and that was that shocking moment where I'm thinking, okay, that's what I've been thinking, that's what I'm feeling inside. How does she know?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, but how do I know? It's how. So nothing is transparent. I mean, everything is transparent. Nothing is hidden, right? And everything is in a field. It's in like the quantum field, if you want to talk about the physics of it. And when there's a focus, and when that door is open, I don't go in if things are I don't invade other people's privacy, right? So if somebody asked me for information, or in that case, we were in a situation and I could feel that you were open to that information. So the information was there, and I just bring it in and say, here, Claire, this is what's on the plate for you today. Because it was right timing, it was meant to be. And it really brought in information and activated things for you that were already there, you were ready for, and you already knew that stuff that was already there. It was just like an affirmation in many ways.
Yeah. And it was also a moment where I wanted to know more. And so then I went and did the workshop with you, because you also do those kind of workshop where you teach people how to listen, you give exercises, you meet, it's how long was it? 6 weeks or 4 weeks program that we did?
It was 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 6 weeks program. And so during those 6 weeks, you're a lot more aware, and suddenly it really kind of brings out all the things that you think it's guts feeling, but it is actually real kind of information that is downloading, and you'll actually be able to pick up that information and do something with it then. And it's really amazing how when we learn more about it, and that's a lot of the things that you do, isn't it?
Yeah. So, the trainings are really to help people tune in and fine tune how to work with it, because, everybody gets intuitive impressions, but for the most part, like you said, the linear mind comes in and says, just bat that away. I don't want to listen to that. What is that stuff? It's just, it's just stuff that's really not very important. It's stuff that's getting in the way. And with the trainings, what happens is that people learn to tune into and really pay attention to the subtle information. So, the information can be as subtle as, maybe you're thinking about working with a business partner, but there's some senses that maybe it's not going forward quite like you want, and or maybe it's just not quite clear, and so you can start to pick up information. And one of the big things is that the linear mind tends to pay attention to appearances and trust appearances, whereas the intuitive mind sees the bigger picture and can bring in information to tell you, this is maybe not the person who is the right person to be working with you, because maybe they're not totally upfront. And so, when people come to me about business situations, very often, if they're talking about working on a project with some people, or working in a group, or financing, those kinds of things, it's really astounding. I'm always shocked. I mean, I'm always very surprised at the information that comes in. Seriously, it's just like, I just kind of open up and say, okay, well, let's just tune in. And I just start giving the information that I see and that I feel and that I hear. And people are sitting in front of me going, how did you know that? Well, I don't know. It's just in the field, right? It's in the field. It just comes through, and there's no pretension about it. I don't judge it. It's just, this is what's there. And, I can give a really small example. So there is somebody I worked with locally on my house, an electrician, and he had suggested that maybe I do some work with somebody, and this person came to my house and looked around. And afterwards I told the electrician, if I were you, I wouldn't work with that person, because he was working with him and doing some work and getting paid with this guy on the side. And I said, that guy is not, he's not upfront. There's something that's off about that. Make sure that you get paid in advance with this guy, or immediately after you finish a job. And I saw him a short time after, and he did a follow-up with me just about that guy. And I said, that guy's going to prison. And it's funny, it came to me 3 times. I said, that guy's going to prison, that guy's going to prison. So this was like 6 or 8 months ago, right? I'm at the gas station last week, and the electrician comes running over to me. He went to prison. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I completely forget. I gave him the information. He says, I'm not going to say the name, but he says, that guy, he went to prison. You were right. And I said, oh, I remember that. And it's just like,
wow.
And it's really interesting to have the affirmation. So, so it's really valuable. 2 things are really valuable. One is to pay attention to your own intuition. If you get those hits, and start to train your left brain not to bat it away and say, that's stupid, and you can do that by simple things like driving down the street, and maybe you have your habitual place, your path that you take to work or wherever, or to the supermarket or wherever, but you get a hit that says, I need to go this way today, right? But your left brain's going, no, we're going to go this way, because that's why we've always done it. You go that way, and you hit a huge traffic jam, there's been an accident, and it takes you 2 hours to get to the supermarket. You start to pay attention to those things, because you start to notice that, I should have gone that other way. I knew it, right? So things like that are just hugely important. And then the other thing is, if you're uncertain, or if you're in this, sometimes when we have a big emotional charge, or a lot of stress, or, a lot of things going on, it's beneficial to reach out to a good intuitive for some support and some clarity. And I do that. I'm a really good intuitive, and I'm good at intuitive things. I am. I mean, I would never have imagined, that Debra, who was the corporate executive, would have looked at me and going, wow, you're doing, how do you do that? I'm like, I've actually had some training, I had some practice, and it just keeps amplifying and amplifying. And so, so the other part is to go, find a really good intuitive, maybe by word of mouth, or check reviews. And so, I had a business proposition earlier in the year, and I was feeling confusion about it. It seemed, on the surface, everything seemed really, really right. And I really knew, so it was going to be a huge investment, time, energy, money. And I really knew that I needed a good intuitive to help me see. And immediately, I mean, I had some hesitations, and immediately, she said to me, "Don't do it. You're going to regret it." And she gave me all these things. There's, so how do you know if it's right or not? If the information is right or not? There is a physical sort of a sense of rightness. With your beingness, that this is it's the right way, right? It's the right path. Claire, I'm not, you already know this stuff.
Yeah, no, but for other people, and I mean, it's listening to you and learning from you that I've learned those kind of things as well. And sometimes as well, a couple of things that I learned from you where in the middle of the night, that was a big thing for me, like, waking up, and I used to wake up and then turn, and I used to get angry with myself to actually be awake all night, and then I'm going to be tired the rest of the day. And then it was just really, really bugging me. And when I mentioned it, you just said to me, this is the time, just let it bring in, and let it be, let's listen to what's coming in, isn't it? Just take that time to actually listen in. And ever since I've done that, it's just been amazing, because I feel so relaxed. And I actually, even if nothing comes in terms of intuition, I feel relaxed, because I feel like this is right. It's peaceful, and whereas before I would have just got, I got really upset about it. And then I go back to sleep into a really peaceful kind of way, which is really amazing. So those kind of things are really important, isn't it, to know those tips?
Yeah. And, you have gotten huge amount of information in those, 3, 4 a.m. wake-up calls, the program that you're evolving, the things you're putting together. And it's been really good stuff, because, you've shared with me some of the stuff about it. And I don't think you mind me sharing that with others, but it's good stuff. And those 3, 4 a.m. wake-up calls are bringing in information, or sometimes it's the higher self, or some people want to talk about guides or energies wanting to connect with us to reassure, to bring in a sense of peace and calm and awareness at a different level. So sometimes I know a lot of people during the lockdowns have had undisturbed sleep patterns, right? So they're starting to dream more. So you can get lots of information through your dreams, right? It's not just gibberish. Sometimes it is gibberish, right? You eat a bad pizza, and sometimes it's gibberish. But very, very often, it's true, but very often, once you learn to work with the information, you start to get information that can be valuable in bringing you new ideas to elaborate a business program. I mean, you've had so much information, Claire. It's really, really amazing. And just come in, and you're, the stuff that you bring in, and
flip charts.
So what's happening right now? What's happening is that we've been in a very linear world, right? We see that linear world is no longer serving us in the same way, and we see how the structures are falling apart. So we're navigating through different new times, and we cannot work with things the way we did before. So the linear mind is going, what's happening here? I don't have any framework to deal with this, right? And so what's happening is it's an opportunity to activate the intuition, to bring in the intuitive insights, to bring the creativity, to bring in the new business ideas. Things are suddenly bursting open in creative ways that have not happened. We're entering into a new renaissance, a golden renaissance period. I know we're going through the chaos and the disruption and the dissolution of the old ways and the old structures, but we're also entering into this new renaissance. And you're part of that, Claire, with the program that you're doing and working with energies and Feng Shui and the business Shui, and bringing together the inner alignment, the inner frequencies, the inner vibrations with your environment, and then with your business life. And it used to be we would put everything in pigeonholes, where we had we have the business life, and then the work, and then the personal life, and then our inner life. And that doesn't work like that anymore. There's like a wholeness, there's an alignment of everything coming together. And you notice there's been a huge number of people fleeing the corporate world. A lot of people after the lockdowns ended did not go back to the corporate world, didn't go back to the office because they didn't feel right anymore, right? And so part of it is this innovation in terms of feeling that there's something new, feeling that there's a new way forward.
And do you think a lot of people kind of reevaluated what they're doing, why they're doing it, a lot of questioning, and either they lost their job or they actually decided, this is it, I don't want to be doing that anymore. So it's kind of creating a lot of new solopreneur and entrepreneur and people who have a passion or something and then want to put that passion into the world. That seems to have been a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Because, a lot of what my perception is, and I was in the corporate world, right? So I know that corporate experience. So my perception of what I see happening at the moment is that, a lot of things that are happening in the corporate world are not in alignment, right? So that what's said is one thing, we've got this mission, but what's actually happening for a lot of people in the actual experience of it is that doesn't align, and people are feeling that doesn't align. And so there's more of a yearning for people to connect with what is valuable, what has value for them, what reflects their human values. And I feel like there's also people feeling a sense of there has to be more, there has to be some different way to do it, and really daring to step into that at the moment.
So obviously when I started knowing you, I started stalking you. And one of the things sorry about that. One of the things that I did was to download your book, which is called Awake in the World. And I'm just going to put that for anybody down below so you can go and get it on Amazon. But so tell us, what is those 108 practices? Because this is, I think that's, if you're watching this today and you're thinking, okay, that kind of makes sense. I'm not too sure, but that kind of makes sense. Perhaps how can I learn more? And this is the perfect book for it, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So Awaken the World is 108 practices to live a divinely inspired life. That's the title. It was my first book. It won several awards in the US. It's been translated into several different languages. And the intention of Awaken the World is to, so I have been through many different wisdom traditions, and Awaken the World takes the practices from these different traditions and offers them in a sort of condensed way. They're really short chapters, as you know, Claire. And they're offered in a way so that you can explore what fits for you, what doesn't fit for you. And the aim of the whole book is to give you some ways to start to connect with your inner wisdom and your inner guidance, because we've all got it, right? It's not just me, it's not just Claire. We all have it. That we have been educated out of it, right? And so Awaken the World offers short practices. Like, one of my favorites is about human values and really identifying your human values, right? What values do you hold? Because when we know what our values are, society is trying to push all kinds of values on us, right? A lot of it's subtle, but sometimes it's not so subtle, right? So, do you value freedom? Do you value, I don't know, do you value gratitude? Do you value right action? There are all these different values that can be really important. And when you know what your values are, you can make really clear decisions. And it's really, really helpful if you have your own business, or even if you're an employee in a business. It doesn't matter. If you know what you value, integrity is a really huge one. Right action. And, one that came up for me was and I think I tell this story in Awaken the World. I'm pretty sure this was in Awaken the World, because I have several books. So there, I have, I met a man in the Italian part of Switzerland who worked for a medical products company, and the medical products company was taking shortcuts that had risk that could have repercussions on the well-being of people in the company. And his mother was also one of the people who was directly related to one of the patients who was influenced by the type of products that they were making. And so he understood directly the implications, right? So what do people do in that situation? People can sit back and say, well, I'm just going to do my job and close my eyes and just let it go. And he decided to confront his direct boss and say, I'm concerned about this. I'm not sure, if we're doing the right thing, because it doesn't correspond to the regulations regarding how we're supposed to be doing this, et cetera, et cetera. And that boss didn't do anything. He finally went to the director. This was a guy who was newly married. His wife was pregnant. So it was a precarious choice. It was a very courageous choice that he decided to make. And he went to the owner of the company, who was also, the big boss, and expressed his concerns. He did it in a very straightforward, transparent way, and not angry, just saying, these are my concerns. And finally he decided, nothing changed, and finally he decided he had to separate from the company. And it took a few months, but he got an even better job. He's in a much better situation. He's still in the same company that he changed to. And so those are the kinds of things that when you know what your values are, it really shapes your life, and it shapes the decisions that you make. And the universe protects us whenever we are in alignment with our values, when we're in the higher alignment with the higher energies and the higher frequencies, which really correlate to those human values.
And something you always say that to us as part of the group. It's when something go aside, realign, come back to it. It's not realign and come back to how you are. And I can see your hands doing it, because that's that anchor, when something is not quite right and perhaps I'm questioning or whatever, and I just see Debra just realign, Claire, realigned, and those kind of things are again are important to know, because once you know, you bring back to what's important, to what is core, what's your values and what's important, and why, and that's takes you to the next level, doesn't it?
It really does. It guides everything. It protects you moving forward. It protects you in every way, right? And it's interesting because a lot of people think about others, and it's important to think about others, but yeah, it really has to start with your alignment with self. The issue that a lot of people have at the moment is that we're so caught up in our telephones and, being drawn into social media and dispersed and distracted. So, of course, one of the practices is meditation, is because it brings you back to yourself. It brings you back to being with yourself and becoming your own best friend. There's nothing better than becoming your own best friend, right? And your intuition is part of that. Your intuition is your best friend. So you can have two best friends, and they're not separate. It's not a question of being separate from intuition or being separate from self. But the way we're so dispersed at the moment, it feels often like we're not aligned with self. And when we're not aligned with self, there's a dis-ease, there's a discomfort, right? That when you come back into that alignment that you can find in meditation, or being, maybe being around other people who are very aligned, like, people come and connect with you, Claire, they're going to feel that as well, because you're coming from that place of alignment. And so, when we're in that place, it's easier to have the clarity. It's easier to disperse the confusion and the chaos that's going on in the world right now, because there's so much of it. So, it's hugely, hugely important to come back to self and to really connect with self and to feel self in that deep, deep way, not in a superficial way, but, to go deeper and to listen. And to listen to that inner guidance, because we've all got it. We've all got it.
So you have a beautiful circle, which I'm a member of. So tell us a little bit, what's the circle about, and when is it? And if people want to join, how do they find out more about the Intuition Circle?
Yeah. So, the way that I do things and the way that I do my business is through intuition. I get the information and then I do it. So I heard some time ago that I needed to do. I was doing a lot of work with writers, and I heard that it was time to do an intuition circle, right? And it was spot on, of course, as usual. My mind wants to go, I don't know about this, and so just that happens to me too. My mind was going, what's going on here? But I did it, and it attracted an amazing group of people, and they're people from all very, very broad backgrounds culturally. Artists, actresses, business people, coaches, just really interesting group of people. And so the intention for the group was that I was seeing things evolve where being able to tap into intuition is what's going to get us through with ease and grace, get us through these times that we're going through, which are, can throw in some surprises and some challenges. And I saw, as you know, and so I saw really clearly that intuition is it, right? Because intuition can bring in information, as you know, that can help us to even know beforehand, things that are going to happen. And so the aim for the intuition circle was to share the information and the wisdom that comes to me about how to work with intuition, or also my experience about how to work with intuition, so that it's something that becomes integral to the people who are in the intuition circle. And it is open to other people who will be interested. So it's very reasonable. It's not expensive. It's people usually come by word of mouth, or by seeing something like this.
Yes.
There are different levels. Yeah. So, there are different levels. You can join as somebody who wants to just be a participant in the circle, or you can join as somebody who wants to be a participant in the circle, but also have a one-to-one session with me each month. So those are some of the options and some of the ways that, of working with the intuition circle. And people have found some really, it's like, it's an accelerator. It accelerates people's intuition, and by being with us, it just amplifies it. So people have been really propelled forward with intuition, as you know, Claire, and are finding it really, really interesting and beneficial. So thanks, Claire.
And also, I feel it's also it's becoming a tribe as well, isn't it? It's kind of becoming that support, because some of the meditation that you do is also where we collectively bring those intentions together. So instead of being on your own and kind of putting the intention out there, feeling them, and really kind of seeing things that could happen, now you've got 12, 15, 20 people together doing it and bringing those intentions together, and suddenly the energy just goes.
It's hugely powerful. Yeah, so we do an intention and meditation session as well, which is hugely powerful. People are receiving the benefits of the intention sessions as well. And I'm seeing everybody become increasingly intuitive. I mean, yourself, Claire. It's amplified as people's intuitive insights are affirmed, and often that's what is needed. People are going, I'm seeing this, what's going on, or I'm having this, this is happening. I'm going, this is what's happening, and then they're going, oh yeah, and then it happens again, and they get it, and it amplifies. And so people are. It's expansive, it's expanding, and it's accelerating. In part because I have had the experiences, and also because it can affirm things that other people are receiving as well.
That's brilliant. So I just wanted to share quickly, because we're just going to finish now, but because of somebody who wants to learn from you, and so we've got the book first. I'll go on Debra's website and have a look at the book, but something that you can do is go on SoundCloud and listen to Debra and do a couple of meditations, because her voice, just close your eyes and listen to the voice, and just your voice is so special. is smoothing, and it's like we're really connecting with you. And so if you want to kind of do a couple of meditation with Debra, this is the link. Go on SoundCloud and Google Debra or search for Debra, and then you'll find, and then you've got some meditation in there, isn't it? Very powerful on there.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, and there are also the intuitive readings. I love doing the intuitive sessions with people, and people can just connect if they want to do that as well.
Brilliant. That's amazing. So you are on social media. So if anybody is looking for you, you're on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. But if you need to know more, click on the website right here, and then you'll be able to get to connect with Debra and come and join one of the circle. That's the beauty of it, is just come and connect and then see if you like it. If you need more details, connect with me, and then I can pass on the information to Debra and connect you to as well if you can't find anything. But Debra, what can I say? Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Claire. Lovely to connect with you. Yeah, and definitely welcome connecting with those who are interested in developing your intuition, or might feel a need to have some more clarity around different specific questions that you might have for one-to-one intuitive sessions. Everything is confidential; it's not shared. So just happy to be of service. Really, thank you so much, Claire. Really appreciate it.
Fabulous. Thank you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you again next week. And go and check out Debra for sure. Have a fabulous weekend. Bye, everyone. Bye, Debra.